Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling Review Series for the 28th of November 1981. Obviously, we are quick into our foray into the program here. Relatively new, obviously, on the program and the Mid-Atlantic Series. Just our latest series, obviously, we have 1900 plus series available for your, or 1900 plus audios available for your listening pleasure across many series. This series should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 225 audios or so by the time it's finished. I am uh, pressed for time as far as recording, so I'm trying to get a few of these out every day, but not sure where that goes. Anyway, also the Extreme Rules 2021 audio will be up later tonight if you're interested in such things. Some people are, some people aren't. I have struggles to be able to try to cover everything wrestling related. We open again with Tony Russo versus Tommy Rich highlights. Or actually, we open with Volkov and Fulton versus Mulligan and Roberts. Uh, and of course, Mulligan and Roberts, a relatively new team. Jake Roberts, of course, having several tag team runs there, and several tag team partners across the 81-82 series. And of course, Blackjack Mulligan coming in for a couple of weeks here on television. And of course, Mulligan is pretty major get for this area. And Volkov not exactly a major guy here, but not in this time. Of course, he becomes more major in the 80s and or later 80s with the WWF and all that. But anyhow, Jake Roberts, of course, is a major force in Mid Atlantic at the time, also in Georgia at the time. Takeovers by Volkov and Charlie Fulton kind of goes back and forth between babyface and heel. Jake Roberts continues to be a guy getting good ride time. Can't believe he's nearly 240 pounds, but looks lean as heck. So he really bulks up when he gets on the gas. But anyway, Mulligan comes in, kind of ties up with Volkov, and doesn't get everything he wants out of that. Strong power there. Not quite sure what I get about the head wraps of Volkov, but anyhow, Mulligan gets taken down with an armbar. Really basic stuff, nothing necessarily worth writing home about, but at the same time, hard shots along the way. Fulton comes over, tries to cut the ring off a little bit on Roberts and the like, and Roberts is sent back into the wrong corner. Mulligan and Roberts continue to be ready to fight for their right to party, so to speak, and Mulligan winds up with a couple of punches and some hard shots on Charlie Fulton. Fulton not exactly getting everything he wants out of being in the ring here, but good enhancement talent nonetheless. Jake Roberts sends his man up into the lights with a back body drop and very basic maneuvers along the way, and ultimately Blackjack Mulligan and Jake Roberts are successful. Roberts sends Volkov out to the floor. Volkov again wearing kind of the, I don't even know what you'd call it, I guess you'd say, head covering of some general nature. But anyhow, again, basic stuff here, not exactly worth writing home about by any stretch of the imagination, but it's here. And ultimately, Roberts and Mulligan get the win. Mulligan says he's back in town. Also, to settle things up with John Studd. John Studd had slapped his son, Blackjack Mulligan Jr., who becomes a tag team partner to Jake Roberts in the weeks and months to come. Of course, Blackjack Mulligan Jr. otherwise ends up being known as Barry Windham eventually, although I don't know that he begins that name around the area until he goes to Florida first. But anyhow, obviously Barry Windham, major talent. Sergeant Slaughter offering the shots at the U.S. title and also wants to challenge for the 19 and 82 Cadillac that's going to be offered at upcoming events. That seems to be hyped for quite a bit here. Highlights of Tony Russo and former NWA champion Tommy Rich. Russo takes him down a couple of very basic takedowns, front face locks, and the basic holds of the like. Ultimately, there are attempted kickoffs and hard, you know, ultimate runs there. Um, and so we kind of see a head scissors takeover by um, Rich there, and we kind of go forward from that perspective. Tommy Rich manages to do what he can where he can, and we kind of see the go behind. Rich hits the reverse chinlock, Rich hits a back elbow, and Tommy Rich, who had been, again, world champion for about 4 days in early 1981, or in the midpoint of 1981, being hyped up here pretty well. Roddy Piper says he wants to challenge people, but doesn't necessarily want to be challenged by Steamboat or others individuals. Obviously, kind of a tease of dissension between uh, Flair and, um, or not Flair, but Piper and Slaughter over the Cadillac. Also, highlights of a match with Angelo Mosca from WWF TV. Won't go through that because I've actually covered that on another program. But Roddy Piper is your Mid Atlantic champion, and he is not happy with having so many challengers and people that want him. Also, he's pretty intense there. Um, Blackjack Mulligan says he's going to get even with John Studd. Mulligan out for almost a second promo just for the sake of kind of getting things going his way. They show a review of Studd managing to slap around Blackjack Mulligan Jr. from previous weeks. They actually show this a couple times over the next couple of weeks, and Slaughter says his U.S. title, he's held on to it for a couple of months now. He is under-impressed with the individuals that he has to fight going forward, and we get another enhancement match here. This happens to be Jim Nelson versus an enhancement talent individual, not exactly well-named guy. Nelson, of course, the private Jim Nelson, now of none other than the wonder that is um, Sergeant Slaughter's charge, and so we kind of go there. And again, Nelson is kind of the individual who is kind of coming at this from a almost like a rookie status and taking his shots. Obviously, taking direction from Sergeant Slaughter is pretty well there. Slaughter obviously trying to bolster his supports, so to speak, both literally and figuratively, for the angle, getting him over as a heel. Of course, the U.S. Championship, a pretty big deal. Interesting that still Nelson manages basic maneuvers, go behind schoolboys, chin locks, basic moves. You're not going to see him do a lot of stuff. His opponent in the enhancement match gets a little bit of offense, but nothing terribly heavy to write home about hard shots along the way, and then we see him get a pretty quick victory. Again, Ricky Steamboat coming out and asking for more matches with Roddy Piper, also wanting to get even with Ole Anderson. Steamboat, kind of I wouldn't say a weak promo here, but not by any stretch of the imagination the stronger type of promo that one would generally want to see. We move forward to the next match in the format here, the Ninja versus Vinny Valentino. Jim Holiday is the manager of the Ninja going forward. Ninja has put himself in face paint as opposed to kind of a mask environment there. Takedowns and basic go behinds, chin locks, and really basic things there. Ultimately, Ninja managing to get everything he possibly can for as simple and progressive a deal as possible. Again, go behinds, Valentino, arm bars, arm locks, and the like, but martial arts maneuvers as often as possible by the Ninja. Strikes, and he actually ends up coming up in the next few weeks with using the Mist as a offensive maneuver. Ninja also goes to the top rope and kind of peering down at his adversary here. We go to the main event, or I guess, final match of the day. Don't know that main event would be the right term fully. As we go forward into Piper and Ole Anderson versus Don Kernoodle and Tony Anthony. Kernoodle gets some basic ride time on Piper, pretty simply put. Piper is your Mid Atlantic champion. Kernoodle has been a major force in the Carolinas Mid Atlantic area for several years by this point, coming in and out of the area and remaining to do so for the next few years. Some roll ups and basic maneuvers. Interesting that Ole Anderson has such a authoritative role with Roddy Piper. Wouldn't imagine they got along very well, but some cutoffs. Tony Anthony taking the good bit of punishment. Piper with arm ringers, arm bars, and basic stuff here. Piper also coming out and trying to grind Anthony, who is obviously a rookie, into the mat. Arm bars, trying to just, rub his face into it. Ole Anderson, definitely a guy who you would want to kind of see as a guy who stays on a body part, as he does with Arn Anderson and teaches Anderson to do, cranking up on the arm and getting the arm-based submission eventually. And we close the program with, you know, Anthony being beaten up by Piper and Anderson pretty aggressively, and the baby faces running out, including Ricky Steamboat, and he continues to want one-on-one matches with Piper. Jake Roberts is also out to close the show as part of the promo that Anderson and Piper both eventually are going to need to be run out of town for the benefit of Mid-Atlantic. We'll be back with more right after this.